All right, you guys, welcome back. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to be in class again today. I have the sick little one here at home, and we know the rules. So I decided to go ahead and record the video so that you guys can watch it in class and not wait to the last minute like you guys did with the lesson before spring break. So you're going to need your goal maps. Go ahead and get those out. And you will need your journals today as well. I want you guys to take a second to look at what you've built. Seriously, just take a second and look at your goal map. A few weeks ago, this was a blank grid. Now it has legacy goals, long-term goals, medium-term goals, and short-term goals. You have an actual blueprint for your life mapped out on that page. Do you realize how rare that is? Most adults, like full-grown adults with jobs and mortgages and everything, have never done this, but you have. But let me ask you something honestly. Of the few that do make plans like this, how many people do you think actually follow through on their plans? Not many. You probably know that instinctively, and it's not because people are lazy or they don't want to succeed. We all want to succeed. But it's because of a gap. There is a gap between having a plan and actually accomplishing it. Most people live in that gap. You've got your plan and you've got your results. But in here, they stay in question marks and they never get to the results. They have the plan, they want the results, but they don't know what fills that gap. Today we fill that gap. Planning feels productive. Writing goals feels like progress, and it is a form of progress. An important one. We've spent weeks on it together for a reason, and it was worth every minute. But who knows what goes in that gap? Plans by themselves don't move your life forward. Action does. So this week, we are going to go from learning about goals to actually doing what it takes to start achieving them. Look at the bottom of your goal map. If you've followed along with the class lessons, you'll notice that there are still 2 rows that we haven't talked much about this week and the daily today. Every row above these 2 is a goal, no doubt. A milestone, a destination you're trying to reach. But these 2 rows, they're different. They aren't really goals in the same sense. They're systems, habits, actions, some recurring and some standalone tasks. The daily and weekly behaviors that actually make your short-term goals become a reality. There's a quote that I love I want to pass on to you guys. It's from James Clear, who wrote the book called Atomic Habits that I strongly recommend you guys read someday. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. I'm going to read that again. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Okay, this is the thing that nobody tells you. You can have the most beautiful, well-designed, God-aligned goal map in the world and still accomplish nothing. Because if your daily and weekly actions aren't set up to actually move you forward, your goals are just wishes with really good formatting. And they're just going to sit there, staying the same, never growing, never changing, and never taking you anywhere. Short-term goals are the milestones, but daily and weekly tasks are the steps between them. And you can't reach the next milestone without taking the steps. So today we're building the steps. Now, before we talk about how to build these daily steps, I need to show you something. Because there's a reason that most people don't take action, even when they know they should. And I want you to feel it, okay? Not just hear about it. So I want you guys to go to a blank page in your journal, and I want you to write these directions at the top of the page for me, okay? You're going to write. I was going to hand out papers that just say it, but you're going to write it, okay? Write the words. Write a perfect sentence. Write a perfect sentence. Now, those are the directions for this next task. That's right. Go ahead. Write a perfect sentence. Take your time, think it through carefully, and don't write anything until you're completely sure that you've got the perfect sentence. I wonder how long I should wait. Being on a recording, it's a little hard to read the room. How many of you have no idea what to write? I'm guessing a lot of you. So I'm going to have you guys do something different. Take your pencil, and where you just wrote the word perfect, I want you to mark it out. And above it, write B minus. Now follow the instructions. Write a B minus sentence. What changed? Did the task get easier? Did I give you more time? Nothing really about the task changed at all. The only thing that changed was the expectation. The desire for perfection didn't make you better at the task. It actually made you stuck. But B minus made it possible to move. And here's the thing. A B minus answer that exists is infinitely better and more valuable than a perfect answer that never gets written. This is exactly what most people do with their lives. They wait for the perfect answer, the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect version of themselves. I'll start when I'm ready. I'll begin when things calm down. I'm guilty of saying that one. I'll pursue that goal when I have more time, more money, more confidence. And then they never start because it's never going to be perfect. And then because they never get started, they can never get better. You can't improve on something that doesn't exist. You can't steer a parked car. God can guide our moving feet a whole lot more easily than he can guide planted ones. So this B minus experiment, which would have worked better in person, but I hope you guys got the point. This is how I show the B minus mentality. And it might be the most important thing and most practical mindset shift that I've personally made in years. Because let me be real with you. I have a tendency toward perfection. I always have. I don't know if it's because of my autism, my ADHD, or my critical upbringing, but I will delay starting something because I don't yet have all the pieces figured out. I'll rewrite a plan 3 times before I show anyone. Or I'll hesitate on a decision for so long that I end up missing the opportunity because I wanted it to be the exact right one. And I've been working on this year because perfectionism, as it turns out, is not a sign of high standards. Most of the time, it's just fear wearing a very respectable disguise. Fear that it won't be good enough. Fear of what people might think. Fear of failing. Fear that if I try and it goes wrong, it will mean something bad about me. So I wait. And while I wait, the goal sits there. Nothing moves or the opportunity passes us by completely. But at the end of last year, I found out about the B minus mentality. And the B minus mentality flips that. Because something done at a B minus level is infinitely better than nothing done at an A plus level. An imperfect plan that you actually follow is worth way more than a perfect plan you can never act on because the plan will never be perfect. A B minus workout that you actually showed up for is going to beat an A plus workout that you have planned for when you feel more ready. And the B- devotional time that you actually work through today is better than the perfect quiet time that you've been meaning to have. Now, does that mean that we aim low? That we accept mediocrity? No, absolutely not. You still give your full effort in everything you do. But the B- mentality is about your threshold for starting. When you start with a B- and then make it better as you go, it gets past that hardest part. Starting is the hardest part 9 times out of 10. And what actually happens once you start, the fog clears. Things that seemed unclear before you started become obvious the more you move. Action creates clarity. You figure things out while moving, not before. Joshua 1:9 tells us to be strong and courageous, to not be afraid, and that the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Notice, wherever you go, not wherever you plan, wherever you go. God wants to be with us in the movement. A lot of people think that confidence comes before action, like you need to feel ready, feel capable, feel sure, and then do the thing. But that's backwards. Confidence doesn't come before action at all. It comes from action. Think about the first time you drove a car. Or those of you who have never driven a car, think of the time you rode a bike. Were you confident? Probably not. Maybe you were even terrified. But after a few times, the confidence built. Not because someone convinced you that you were good at it, but because you drove the thing. So, now it's time to get to work. You should have your goal maps at the ready and make sure you have your journals open to a fresh page. We are going to fill in those bottom 2 rows, but not just randomly. We're going to do it with intention, using what's called a simple project plan. Okay? So, step 1, choose one short-term goal to focus on in class today. So you're going to look at your goal map and find the quarter row or the month row and choose one of your short-term goals to focus on in class. Don't worry, you'll get to the rest of them on your own time, but pick one that feels the most important or most urgent right now. And at the top of your fresh journal page, write that goal's name and the words project plan. Okay? I'll give you a minute to do that. Step 2 is break it down. This is like a mini brain dump, but instead of brain dumping everything, you're going to focus on just this one goal. Dump everything you can think of that you'll need to do to accomplish this goal. Just get it all out onto the page. No order, no judgment. You don't have to worry about whether it's big or small or obvious. Just ask yourself, what are all the things that I will need to make happen in order for this goal to become a reality? And write them all down on that piece of paper. Now, some of these things will be repeating tasks, and some will be things that you just do once and they're done. Don't worry, you don't have to rewrite or organize anything. Just put a little star next to anything that repeats and a little checkbox next to anything that's a one-time task so that you can check it off when it's done. So for example, let's say your short-term goal is run a 5K in the next 3 months. Your task list may look like this. Run 3 times a week. That gets a star. Stretching daily. Star. Those are your recurring habits. Buy new running shoes. Sign up for the race. Download the training app. Those are your single step actions. You do them once, check them off, and move on. Or say maybe your goal is read through the New Testament this quarter. Your repeating action may just be read 3 chapters every day. That's it. That's your recurring weekly behavior. But you may also write out each of the book's titles with checkboxes as 27 mini milestone actions that you'll accomplish. The more you can break down a goal, the simpler it is to achieve. And listen, this list is not going to be perfect, no matter your goal. And that's completely fine, remember? B minus. You will think of something else that needs to go on this list later, probably at a random moment when you're in the shower or right before bed. That's totally okay. That's why it's a list. You can always add to it. The goal right now is just to get the most obvious pieces out of your head and onto the paper so that you can start seeing what actually needs to start happening. And you don't have to do this full decomposition process for every single SMART goal that comes across your goal map if you don't want to. It's a tool, not a requirement. But for your most important goals and the ones you really want to make happen in this season, this process is so worth the few minutes that it takes. The more clearly you can see all the pieces, the easier it is to know exactly what to do next. And knowing what to do next keeps you moving. And checking off boxes gives your brain that dopamine that it loves, making continuing on your goals even easier. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to break your chosen short-term goal into those weekly bites and repeatable tasks. All right, time's up. It's okay if you don't feel like you got everything out. You can work on this more throughout the week, and I expect you to. But for now, look back at all the things you wrote, and we're going to look for anything with check boxes, your one-time tasks. You'll notice that some of them have a natural order. Some may need to be done before anything else. So just take a minute to look through the checkable tasks, and any of them that you know need to be done first, these are your next actions. Now for your starred recurring tasks. They also need to start happening right away. Those are the habits and behaviors that will run throughout the life of this goal. So those are also next actions. So now you have everything you need to fill in those last two rows. The repeated tasks that are weekly or a few times a week, and any single tasks that you plan to do sometime this week, they're going to go, obviously, in the this week row. And of course, the repeating tasks that are daily and any one-time task that you will take care of today will go in the daily/today row. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you ever feel stuck deciding what you should do next for a goal, here's a question you can keep in your back pocket. What would someone who is already achieving this goal do today? If you want to become a person who is physically strong, what does a physically strong person do today? Well, they would move their body, even if it's just a little. They would eat enough protein and drink enough water. That's your action. All right, go ahead and take another minute to transfer those next actions into the bottom two rows of your goal map. I give you 1 minute. All right, now I want you to look at all you wrote. Find one of your actions for this week, and I want you to complete this sentence out loud. Okay? I want you to take turns, everybody, right now. Teacher who's running the class right now, whoever it is, please pause this video and point to each student and have them complete the sentence. This week, I will. And you guys name off at least one of the things that you've determined you're going to do this week. Because there's real power in declaring your intention. It's not performance, it's commitment. Remember what we talked about way back in our Power of Words lesson? What you speak out loud, you begin to believe. And what you believe, you move toward. Okay, so go ahead and pause this video here and take turns saying one of the things you will do this week out loud. Please, out loud. Okay, I'm going to assume it got paused and everybody went around and said their thing out loud. Good job. Let's tie this back to faith, shall we? James 1:22. This is our anchor verse for today. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. I love that verse because James doesn't say, don't listen. He says, don't merely listen. That word merely means just or only. Listening matters. Learning matters. Understanding matters. But if all you ever do is take in information without acting on it, you will deceive yourself into thinking you're growing when you're actually just comfortable. That word deceive is pretty strong, and James isn't trying to be mean to the reader here. He's just being honest. He's saying that it's really easy to feel like you're doing work when you're actually just consuming content about the work. You can listen to all the right things, read all the right books, fill in all the right goal maps, and still not actually change your life because the change only happens in the doing. We've spent a lot of this class in the learning phase, and that was exactly right. You needed the foundation. You needed the language for what goals are, why they matter. You needed to understand how your brain works, how limiting beliefs form, how your RAS filters reality, why visualization matters, why your deep why, has to be strong enough to outlast your fears. All of that was necessary. It was the soil preparation. But I hope I gave you enough practice in the doing as well. Because now, with the school year almost over, it's planting season, and you plant by doing. This goal map is beautiful. I mean it sincerely. You've built something genuinely impressive here, and you should be really proud of it. Look at how much thought you've put into your legacy, your long-term life, your current season. That took courage and honesty and real deep reflection. But a goal map that lives in a folder and never gets acted on is just a piece of paper with really good handwriting, or not so good handwriting for some of us. The version of this that changes your life, that's the one you wake up and actually work toward. The one you make B- activity, action, decisions for. The one you take the next imperfect step toward, even on the days when you don't feel like it. The one that you trust God with, even when the path looks uncertain. Remember what I talked about before spring break. Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. We plan, but He establishes. He can only establish the steps we take. You don't have to have everything figured out, okay? You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions, because Ecclesiastes already tells us, if you wait for the wind to settle and the clouds to clear, you'll never plant anything. And if you never plant, you'll never reap. God's invitation to you right now is not get it all figured out and then bring it to me. It's take the next step, and I will be there right next to you to guide you. Remember Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Wherever you go. So go somewhere, even if it's B-, especially if it's B-. And then keep going, because remember, all this hard work is worth it. Okay? All right, that's just about it. Here's what I need from you for this week for homework. It's pretty simple. Fill in your goal map at the bottom 2 rows. Okay? At least for 2 more goals. This week and today for at least 2 more of your short-term goals. Not just 1, at least 2 more. These are your recurring behaviors, remember, and your next actions. Okay? And then number 2 of homework is do the action that you declared today. Whether you said it out loud or not, whatever you decided to do today, do it. Do it this week. Do it tomorrow or the next day, but not next week. Don't put it off. This week. You've declared you're going to do it this week. Do it. Keep your word to yourself. Okay, and number 3, continue your planner habit. Your weekly and daily tasks should start showing up in your planner. That's where the goal map and the planner meet. When your recurring behaviors get scheduled into real days and real time slots. And that's it. You've got everything you need. Your map is built and the plans are being made. Now it's time to move forward. Make sure you keep your goal maps. You need to bring them with you next week, as we will be transferring them to a little bit more sturdy of a goal map, which will actually be a great big dry erase board for you guys all to continue updating your goal map on without having to erase and tear a hole through paper. All right? And hopefully I will actually see your beautiful faces next week. Thank you guys for understanding and dealing with the video once again. And yeah, have a great day.